What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the Trans Am and a new part that just came out from DSE, that is Detroit Speed Engineering. Now, if you don't follow them, I've been following for years because I used to have a 69 Camaro I was going to redo, and if you have an older or a first-gen Camaro, you have definitely heard of DSE, but I'm actually even using the wheel stands that I made like 10 years ago, designed off their design. It makes a super stable platform to set them on, but they are actually now supporting 3rd and 4th gen Camaros, and a new part that they came out with is to fix the fender gap. So this is a reinforcement for the fender on the bottom side, and I'll show you just a second what I'm talking about. But it's really cool that a company is actually putting some R&D into some newer stuff. You know, a lot of times places don't really care because maybe not a lot of people are working on this platform, but DSE is actually working on this stuff. So you are going to need a couple things that you may not have, and you're going to need a set of flat nose pliers if you don't have a set. You may not need these, but I'll show you what we're going to use those on. And you are also going to need a tap, and this is a 1/4 by 20 tap that you're going to need. But let's get under the car and I'll show you exactly what we're going to be doing. Now, if you caught my video before on lifting these things or jacking them up the proper way, you need to be supporting them here, but a lot of people use this, and this is not the correct way, and as you can see, mine is completely bent up. So those flat nose pliers are going to be used to bring this back out, and as I go along, you'll be able to see exactly how this is going to fit into place. But let's get, I'm going to get a heat gun and heat this up before I try to bend it back. But that is our first step, is heating it up and bending it back to the proper position.
Perfect, 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 perfect.
So once you get this bent back into position, or at least back facing down like it's supposed to be, we're going to go ahead and take these two 10mm bolts out. So if your flanges are mangled like mine, you need to flatten this out. So we got the bolts out, and we've got this bent back down, but it needs to be completely flat. This piece here needs to be flat. So you might have to use a hammer and dolly, or you can use a set of pliers and just bend this back and forth until it's completely flat. And I'll kind of show you the process that I'm going to use. I'm going to try to use a pair of pliers because it's not real thick metal. So we're going to start there. So once you get this flat, and you can see that I just used a hammer and a piece of steel behind it. I don't have a hammer and dolly. That'd probably be the best way, but you just want to get it straight to where the block, when it sets up in there, let me grab it here real quick, sorry. It wants to set flat up against the flange here. So our next step is we need to tap these holes right here. So these two guys here are the ones that you're going to use the tap on. So that is a 1/4 by 20 tap. So once we get that completed, I'm going to use the time while we've got it apart to clean it up a little bit. I already cleaned around this area a little bit, but it needs a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the inside here. Once you clean it up a little bit, and you don't have to do that, that's just my preference, you need to go ahead and put the 2 bolts in And they literally just thread in the spot where you took the old ones out. So you don't want to thread these all the way in, otherwise you won't be able to get your block into place. You just want to thread them far enough so you can get this washer on the inside. So that washer is going to sandwich in between the block that we're going to be putting in and this flange itself. So go ahead and put your washers on, and then we'll put the block up into place. Once you put the block into place, go ahead and tighten these two outer bolts up. We haven't put the nut in yet. That is one of the last steps. So go ahead and tighten these up, and the block will still be a little loose. But our next step is we're going to get the two bolts that came with the kit and for the holes that we threaded here. And you're going to put a little blue Loctite on these. Now we're not going to tighten these up. We're just going to thread them in. Once you get the two bolts in like we were talking about, now we're going to thread the nut through the hole here, and we're not going to tighten these yet either. So go ahead and thread both of these in. So once you get those two nylock nuts in there, you're going to make sure that this is slid all the way back, so this the back edge and the flange itself is lined up. And mine actually is all the way back. That's kind of the way it went in, so not a whole lot of reason to have to move it around. But once you do that, then you can go ahead and tighten up all your bolts. We're going to start with the outer end here, and then we'll finish up by tightening the inside ones.
Perfect, 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 perfect.
Once it is tightened up, all of your outer and then your nylock nuts on the inside there, you are finished up. So, you know, my fender did not move. My fender was actually in a pretty good spot anyway, but if you have a fender that's pulled out, chances are this is going to put you right back where you need to be. Not to mention, it's going to reinforce this so it doesn't move around down the road. So a really cool product. And of course we got to do the other side, and I'm not going to show you guys that because it's the identical process to this side. But yeah, I'm super excited. These look like they're going to work great and do exactly what you know, they're intended for. And it gives you, you know, if somebody accidentally put a jack on this, it'll give you an additional jacking point. I'm not going to jack on this just because I'll use this inner part here, but you know, it does give you some support if somebody is not doing the proper method. Well guys, we are finished with this project, and I have to say this is an amazing product. If you guys have a 4th generation Camaro Firebird Trans Am, you need to get this. Even if your fenders aren't laid over, this is going to keep that from happening down the road, which everyone I've ever purchased has this done. It's like people slam a jack under there, they just don't know where they're jacking, and it screws everything up. I did have one car that was super low mile that didn't have that, but I would have purchased that for that car as well because it keeps this from happening down the road. But props to DSE for a great product. I will list everything that I use down in the description below, including where you can get this, some of the specialty tools that you may not have. I know I had to go buy a tap. I didn't have that size tap, so there are a few objects that you might have to buy. But guys, hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please smash that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, go down and hit the subscribe button because we got tons of other stuff planned for this car and every car that we've got. So stay tuned to see what we do next.